Hey guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a super special holiday edition, but before we get into the tutorial, I had to show you this cute little mug. Dash Hunt Through the Snow. It's a play on words and it's cute. Anyway guys, what I actually brought you here today for was this quilted stocking tutorial. But without further ado, let's turn on some Christmas tunes and let's get sewing. Okay, so as usual, you're gonna need some fabric, guys. I chose to use 100% cotton. I also have some leftover fleece that I had from another project, and you're also gonna need some batting. First up, we're gonna make our pattern piece. I'm laying a stocking I already have on some wrapping paper, and I'm going to trim around the stocking, leaving about 1/2 inch all the way around. Use your pencil to mark around the stocking. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys, just do your best. Before we start cutting out our pieces, I'd suggest washing and ironing your fabric. Okay, we're going to be cutting out 4 stocking pieces for this project. Lay your fabric right side up and place your pattern piece on your fabric. Now you're going to cut around this. This is piece number 1. To get your second stocking piece, take piece number 1 and lay it on your fabric with the right sides facing together this time. Now you should have 2 mirrored pieces. We're actually going to repeat those steps again to get 2 more pieces identical to these. But before I continue cutting, I'm going to lay these 2 pieces with right sides together and pin them in place for later. When I was cutting out my last 2 pieces, I actually had a little hiccup, guys. I was a bit short on fabric, but I just pieced together some scraps with my machine and cut it out. Now, as you can see, I'm cutting a piece of batting to size. I love cutting through batting, guys. I don't know what it is, it's just so satisfying. Now lay whatever piece you want to be the front of your stocking on the batting, the right side facing up, and I'm using some safety pins to anchor it in place. For this project, you should have your beautiful fabric on one side and just your batting on the back. And this is now ready for quilting. Here's our other piece that we set aside for later. Just to reiterate, you want the pieces pinned with right sides together. I'm measuring the band to be double the width of my stocking and then approximately 12 inches wide. The most important thing to remember is that we're going to fold it in half. Measure twice, cut once. Seriously, this tip is going to save you in the future. I'm taking another scrap piece of cotton to cut my loop. Cut yourself a little rectangle. I cut mine 2 inches by 11.5 inches. Take your little rectangle, fold it in half with right sides together and pin it in place. Then you're going to take your band and fold it in half with the right sides facing together and pin it in place as well. Alright, now we're finally ready to sew. So I started with my band. I used my presser foot as my seam allowance, and then we're going to sew up the side of our loop. Now we're going to sew up the back of our stocking, leaving the top open. This is very important because we're going to need to turn it right side out later. And now is my favorite part, the quilting. I'm going to be using my free motion quilting foot, and I'm going to do a swirly line pattern all around the stocking, but you could literally do anything. You could even use your presser foot, do some straight lines or some fun diagonal lines. And if this is your first time, just remember to fill in every last inch of your stocking. Use a color thread that isn't contrasting too much, and don't worry if you make a mistake, just keep going. Once you're done quilting, guys, take a moment to admire your work. We should have 1 stocking piece left, so take this piece and lay it on your quilted piece with the right sides facing together. Line it up as best you can and pin it in place. And then, you guessed it, we're sewing around, leaving the top open again, and then cutting off the excess batting and clipping our curves very carefully. We don't want to cut through the seam. Okay, we're really close now, guys. Turn both of your stocking pieces right side out. Then turn your loop right side out using a safety pin to push it through. This takes some patience, especially if you're new to sewing. And now I'm taking the 2 sides of my stocking and laying them together. It's important here that the quilted side is facing down. And again, we're going to sew around the stocking, leaving the top open. We want those edges raw. Okay, for the first time, you're going to see your stocking starting to come together. You can turn it right side out and pat yourself on the back, guys, for getting this far. I'm checking the width of my band here, and as you can see, it's too wide. So I actually had to sew it up much smaller and cut off the excess, but seriously, it's much better to have more than enough. Take your band and fold it in on itself, leaving the right sides facing out. All your raw edges should be together now. You're going to slide the band inside your stocking, lining up all your raw edges together. As you can see here, I'm lining up my seams. This is going to be the hardest section to sew through, so keep the seams open to make it more flat. And I almost forgot, before we sew this up, you have to tuck your loop in between the band and your stocking. I stuck mine between the back of the stocking and the band, near the corner. And as you can see, I left a couple of inches poking out to make my loop a bit shorter. Take your time with this step and make sure you're sewing through all the layers and that you have no wrinkles. Before the final reveal, we just need to chop off all this bulk from around the top of the stocking. Now pull out your band, fold it down, and that's it guys, you did it. Your very own custom quilted stocking. Well, that was pretty fun, if I do say so myself. Anyway guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notifications if you want to be notified when I post a new video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.